Well, thank you everybody for joining. We are gonna move forward with the model of Casey facilitating the meeting and pushing us through the agenda with the hopes of always ending by 9 o'clock, as we always did. And bear with her and I as we work through all the, we need a vote at this time or don't at this time, and feel free to guide us if you have some feedback. So I will pass it to Casey.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Anna, you want to get us, sorry, Anna, do you mind sharing the screen so I don't, of course, have the agenda? Or you know, I can pull it up. Never mind. I can pull it up in my. First, it looks like we've got, sorry.
We're appointing a chair.
We also need to review the minutes. Anna, I apologize. I told you I would be on my game tonight, and of course, I'm not.
Hey,
Let me pull up the agenda. Okay, here we go. All right, appointment of a chair.
So I reached out to the town clerk's office, and at the last meeting, if you recall, it was back January 5th, we appointed Casey temporarily for that meeting, and we wanted to wait for all members to be available to vote her fully. So that time is now. Casey's term as chair would run through the end of her 3-year appointment, which is next April, April of 2022. So Casey, I guess you make a motion for yourself to
I can't make a motion for myself.
I will move that the commission appoint Casey Atkins as chair of the Recreation Commission.
And I second that.
Now we can come to a vote.
all in favor?
All in favor, sorry.
Aye.
Want to do a, I think before
Yeah,
we
it's
do
a roll call vote they
Roll.
should take.
Yeah, name and aye.
Paul Bowen votes aye.
Paul Grasso, yes.
Pete Funkhauser, yes.
Jen Lutz, yes.
And I abstain. All right, thank you all very much. Shall we move on to the meeting minutes? Did everyone have a chance to take a look at them? Anyone need another moment to review? We can make a motion to approve the minutes.
From January 5th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 5th.
I'll second.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Right.
Pete, you good with the minutes?
I was not in attendance, so I don't believe I can vote for or against.
That's fair. You can abstain.
I'll abstain then. How's that?
Sounds good.
Great.
Next up, we have public input.
No, we don't have anybody else in the waiting room or in the meeting from the public.
Okay.
I just-
We've got,
I'd just like to acknowledge the change of the guard here.
Yeah, yep. I was gonna get to that
Okay.
next, but yeah. So as everybody's aware from the email, Ryan Payne recently resigned from his position as the recreation director, leaving me as the interim director for the time being. Ryan recognized that he needed to realign his work life and personal life and made a choice in his best interest. And we wish him all the best, and we're confident that the town will help us replace his position with somebody in the near future. For the time being, I believe I'm going to serve as the interim at least through the summer, just to get us through. I'm really comfortable with all the summer operations. Andy's got a great grasp on the Beatty Center, so we think that we can, without any issues, make it through the summer, giving the town a good amount of time to really prepare a good job search, a candidate search, and make sure that we're putting our best foot forward with finding applicants. So that's where we stand right now. The team is doing fine. I think, the thing that we'll all miss about Ryan is how joyful and personable and communicative he was. He brought a vibrance to our team that will be hard to replace. And everybody, I think, is feeling that for sure right now. But they're doing okay. Our team is extremely resilient. It's extremely hardworking. And everybody's just putting their nose to the ground and carrying on with the responsibilities and commitment to the community that Ryan would have wanted everybody to do in his absence. We have shared resources with all of our employees in terms of the employee assistance program. So if anybody felt like they wanted to talk with someone, if they were really upset or sad, so those resources are available to everybody. And my door is always open, as is Andy's. And I think our staff have been really comfortable coming to us with questions or concerns related to Ryan's absence for the time being. And I'm certainly happy to answer any questions that I can respecting Ryan's privacy. So I welcome you to ask me any questions, or Andy any questions right now before we move forward.
My question has been on the process of finding a new recreation director. Has the town initiated that? And I asked that in the context of an item later on the agenda, which is our administrative code. Mm-hmm. And we have some at least some articulated role in recommending appointments. So I'm not sure whether we have that role or not. Maybe we wait till the administrative code to discuss that. But
right,
what's the process, and what is our role in that process, if any?
Yeah. So I wasn't here when the recreation director position was filled last, but I was here when we brought Andy on board. And what we did then was the chair participated in the interviews, the final round of interviews, and provided some input and feedback. And that's what I think my hope would be. I can't speak for what the town manager's office might do for a position of the level that was recreation director, but I'm hoping it would be inclusive of somebody participating in meeting the candidates once we get to that point. But that hasn't been defined. There's no time period. There's no posting right now. But I certainly have that on the radar of the deputy town manager.
The full committee also, when that role was filled, looked at all the resumes too.
Great.
That was the step. Everybody took part in that. And then I think it was Peter that actually attended the interviews. I can't remember that part of it, but.
Great.
Yeah, I think you're right, Paul, and both Pauls. And I think that's a good point. I would feel that the rec commission should have a presence on the hiring committee and certainly review the resumes and talk internally about the attributes that we're looking for in a rec director, and have a role to play in that process. I think that would be important. Mm-hmm. And, Paul, certainly Pete and Jen, I would really look to you guys too. Paul Grasso, in terms of your experience going through this previously. I think were you on the commission when Ryan was hired?
I was.
Just started. Yeah. And
yeah.
Then Paul Boehm, you've been involved in a lot of these, types of processes before with the town. And Pete certainly has a ton of institutional knowledge too. And I think Jen brings a great perspective from younger families, making sure that, that we have eyes on the process and an opportunity to voice our piece to it. So I think that's something I can say I certainly feel strongly about on behalf of the commission, and will communicate that to the deputy town manager.
Perfect. That's what I was going to say, Casey. Maybe you, generally speaking, send Kate Hodges an email just welcoming the opportunity for the commission to be involved however they see possible, and recognizing what the past process was. Kate obviously was here when Ryan was elected. So I'm sure she'll be familiar with how the rec commission was involved in the past, but
Paul Grosso, did you guys see a posting for the position before it went up?
Or which one, for Ryan's?
For Ryan, yeah.
No, before it got posted, I don't think so. I mean, we were much more involved when Andy's role got vetted and hired, but I can't remember Ryan's. That was a ways back. I can't remember exactly how the process went there.
I guess
But-
my piece would be to advocate with the deputy town manager that even seeing a posting before it goes out would be beneficial for the commission as well.
I think that would be very appropriate.
And I would, through the appropriate channels and mechanisms for communication that don't violate open meeting law, welcome feedback on that process. I would advocate for us to have as much involvement in that as appropriate. Ryan certainly leaves a big gap. I remember when he was pretty new. I remember, Anna, you had just started when I met you, and Paul Grasso was on the board, and Peter Hunter was several years into his, wonderful leadership. And while Ryan certainly will leave a void, there are so many dedicated employees at Concord Rec who really are the heart and soul of it. Anna, you've been the heart and soul for a very long time. You've revamped the programs. You've breathed life back into the summer camp. Andy, same with what you've done at the Beatty Center. And then there are just institutional figures who are known around town, whether it's Marty Hutchinson, whether it's Anita Hill, or, Christine running the accounting, and all the folks who work part-time and full-time at the various programs. Really make everything happen and have done so much to keep the best parts and make things even better in the last couple of years. And just recognition that though Ryan's gone, the heartbeat still goes, because those key people and the spirit is still there. So thank you, Anna, for stepping into the leadership role. It's not easy. I think full appreciation for the fact that I believe this was announced, then spring and summer programs opened 3 days later for registration. And this is the part of the year where really your work gets ramped up to the nth degree. And it was already running at full gear with how the rec department had been responding to the school reopening and to the COVID pandemic and the partnership with the school district. So really kudos to you guys for being able to do that and keep it up. I speak, for myself here, but I'm sure that many other commission members would say we're here to take your, lead if there are things that we can do to be helpful. And if part of what we need to do to be helpful is slow down on some of our initiatives and give you guys the space to just cover your busy season right now and take it chunk at a time, then we hear that too. But definitely be open and honest with us about what you need.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate that. Means a lot.
And I agree with all that. The process that we talked about in our role, and also so the amazing performances. I was brand new to the commission when everything was launched in early COVID years. It was like an eye opener how amazing it was to get through that. I don't want to jump the agenda, but when we get to this, the administrative code, item 3, which deals with this, we might want to put some meat on the bones of that
Great
item
idea,
when we
Paul.
get to that. Yeah.
So let's hum through this agenda. We've got the appointments. Anna, do I just need to?
I think we just have that there so people stay aware of term lengths. So it looks like Jen will be expiring, you will be expiring, and most soon is Paul Grasso, 2021 April. So we'll need to keep putting our feelers out in the community for somebody. Paul, are you?
Can't continue on. You can only do
Okay.
2, right? So I'm all done.
Yeah, I think that is true. So, as a community, we should be reaching out to other folks that might be interested in filling Paul's role. And I know there's formal processes with the town manager's office to do that. Pete just went through it, so he, could help us with that process if questions come up, but time to put
Do I
our
continue
feelers
on
out.
the CPC beyond April? Like, how does that work? Or we can discuss that offline. I just thought of that
Yeah.
when you reminded me that it was April.
Yeah. I'll have to reach out to the town manager's office and see what they
Okay.
say. I'll get back to you.
All right, thanks.
Just to highlight, Anna, we've got months connected to everyone's tenure end. So I'll highlight Pete's tenure end as February 2023.
Great.
It seems to be an advantage to be, Paul, to be double-hatted on the Recreation Commission and on CPC, and I'm wondering if we might recruit somebody else on CPC.
I think you have to have a recreation member sit on the CPC, and that's, and I think you're right, Paul. I think it's double-hatted by charter.
Yeah, you
Oh, that's
definitely
by-
want
by
someone.
design.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's why I'm asking. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but I think you definitely want somebody,
okay.
from the committee doing it. And I'm happy if you want an interim, you need some time to straighten it out. I can continue on for a few months too.
Great.
I think the heavy lifting's done for this cycle.
Good.
Paul, do you mind, Paul Grasso, just very briefly, the tempo of CDC tends to be heavy, more work related in the fall and
Correct.
through the winter.
It's almost like a school year, like right
Yeah.
around, it follows the rhythm of the school year right until
Okay.
about January. Although
Yep.
the COVID issue has really kind of thrown the schedule, and I know Matt can speak to it a lot more effectively than I can. But it's really from in the fall, it's a lot of meetings and a site visit, which I found to be extremely interesting. And then meetings until you hash out the warrant article, which should be around January.
Yeah.
Very high level calendar.
Okay, that's helpful just for those to keep in mind if anyone is interested in filling that slot. And then Anna, there's only once Paul Grasso has his term expires, is that just one seat that's open on the commission? Okay,
That's my understanding. Yeah.
great.
There's 5 seats.
All right, so moving on to facility updates. Anna, or rather department updates, facility updates, White Pond.
Yep. So I'm going to share my screen, maybe. So the White Pond had its 3rd public forum on February 9th, and it went really great. I've never actually shared my screen before. Now that I'm looking, how do I do this? Let's see. Does anybody know how to do the share screen?
It's on the bottom.
Do you
bottom
have
menu.
a tab? Is it asking
there
you
it
for a
goes.
tab
Yep.
or a window?
Yep, got it. Sorry. So I just wanted to show, for those of you that might not be as close to the project, just some images that were shared at the last public forum. I hadn't been involved with any of the public forums, so it was really informative for me. The project is clearly well thought out. The community was really supportive of it at that 3rd meeting. And we're really looking forward to moving forward. So this is an image from, an aerial view of the renovations that will happen at the pond. They're hopeful to get these renovations started this fall, but still need to work through the Conservation Commission or Natural Resources Commission, which could take a handful of public meetings, dependent on questions and initiatives. But what you'll see here is the ADA path that will be installed. It's a switchback all the way down to the beach. There will be some areas along the way that are a pull-off, if you will, for either somebody who uses a wheelchair, a parent with a stroller, a parent with a beach cart, anybody that just wants to take a break and take in the scenes. And then there's also going to be a faster, more direct path that will have access straight down to the beach as well. The newest addition to the project was this accessibility feature over here as well. So this is the parking lot that comes down the side by the boat launch area down to the water. And this will also be a small switchback that will be connected with an accessible mat to allow access to the middle of the sanded area. This is what, looking at the beach and up the hill, what it looks like right now. You can see that there's a lot of tree growth. There is not much undergrowth happening because of the shade from the trees above. The stairs over here are very steep and uneven, and there is not a clear accessible way to get down to the beach. There's some stairs right here. And then this is an overlay of what it will look like from that same perspective when the project is complete. You'll notice that they'll be putting in different vegetation, handrails, the path, the access, all while leaving the stone wall and the stair access here as well. They're also going to be installing some different features along the path to help with erosion. So you'll see a lot of these natural features like these rocks throughout in areas that they are concerned about. So it gives a really nice look to the beach. They're going to be removing, I want to say it was 11 trees in total, some of which are trees that are up in the parking lot area. So the impact of the woodland itself should be minimal and will be improved with the supported undergrowth that they'll be planting. This is the view of that additional accessibility path from the handicap parking spaces at the bottom of the lot, connecting to the accessible beach mat. So you can see there's a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a big project, and it's going to make a lot of great additions to the beach area. Again, hopeful they might do some tree tagging and such this summer, but the intent is not to disrupt this summer's action at the beach, but instead go through all the commissions and such that they need to get all the permissions, get the plans in place, ready to act when the beach closes early fall. So I just wanted to share that with everybody so everyone is aware of that. I will certainly announce once the dates are set for the Natural Resources Commission, if anybody is interested in tuning into those as well, but it's going to be a great project.
So it'd be great if you could send the dates. Thank you, Anna. And this is a helpful slideshow, but certainly if we can be supportive and stay knowledgeable in the project.
Casey, can I just intrude here just for a sec? The Finance Committee received an email from Jeff Parker. Has anyone with regard to White Pond and the storm drainage, has anyone on the Rec Commission received that email?
No.
Okay, he was questioning the need for the expenditure for the stormwater drains and saying that the existing ones seem to be working just fine. I suspect, let's see, he addressed it to Kerry LaFleur and then everybody on the Finance Committee. So I'm sure Kerry could send a copy of that.
Who was it from again?
Jeff Parker. Says
I believe he spoke at the forum.
Did he?
Yep, I think he's been in conversation with the town manager's office about this topic throughout
Okay.
The processes, but I haven't heard from Kate Hodges if she received the email, but I think she would probably take that one.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you folks were aware of it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dick. That's helpful. But yeah, no, that's going to fall under Kate. Does that sound about right, Anna? And we sort of stand.
Yeah, I know that there's been questions about the current effectiveness of the wastewater collection systems that are there. And the project managers, I believe it's Weston and Sampson, they did a great job explaining it on the last forum. It doesn't look like the video was up. I tried to see if it was available today, but it's certainly something that Jeff voiced at that meeting. And as far as I understand, potentially some prior meetings, and they'd be happy to engage in conversation with him if he has more questions, I'm sure.
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I did attend the public forum meeting on this. I thought it was really insightful, just like the stuff you're showing. I love it. I'm so excited about it. Unfortunately, they're not starting till the fall. I do have a question about White Pond for this summer. Is there another place I should ask these questions in the agenda?
I'll go over just basics of White Pond under the Hunt side program updates, which we can start right now if you want. So go for it.
Okay. I'm just wondering, like I saw in one of the notes or the updates you have provided in a document that summer camp will be run like last year, like COVID style. So I was wondering for White Pond too, if it's going to be a similar approach or if anything will be changed based on what happened, successes or failures last year.
Yep. Yep. So it is going to function under the reservation system like it did last year, which means spots on the beach will become available. I want to say it was 72 hours prior to the date you're looking for, just like the Beatty Center is doing pre-reservations as well. It will be the same quantity of plots as were available last summer. And we're not going to have the dock out again this year. This, of course, if things change dramatically before the pond is scheduled to open in May, could change. You know, if the world seems like a better place before Memorial Day, maybe the dock would go out. But for right now, we're not planning to put it in this summer. And we're waiting temporarily on swim lessons, but we're hopeful that, again, things might feel a little bit better even by midsummer, and potentially we'd be able to offer some lessons at the pond for the month of August or something like that.
So there was some consternation, if that's the right word, over the reservation system when it started up last year. And I lost track of what happened after that. Did things get corrected, improved? Is that?
Yeah, I think, or Jen, you can speak to that if you.
Oh, I was just going to comment, being someone who always tried to get into the system. Yeah, the first 2 weeks, it was tough, but that's like anything that's new. And this was completely different than years past, but they really, after 2 weeks, it was easy to get a reservation. I mean, it might be hard on Saturday afternoon when everyone wants to get it, but overall, if you paid your money, you could definitely get, you can get in several times a week. So I thought they did a great job.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think a lot of those lessons are being carried forward, like Anna said, to this year with a number of reservation opportunities per day, to having different time pieces related to people that might want to just swim versus hang out. All those different options were well received. And with it, as we tweaked it last summer, probably, we'll say 3 times, I think we got to a good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Great, thanks.
All right. So Casey, do you want me to just go into the rest of the department updates right now?
Why don't you just dig right in?
Sure. So I won't go through all the bullets that were on the document that I sent out regarding the hunt side of the operation, but all in all, spring summer registration was very successful for our opening week, the week of February 10th. We are currently taking enrollment for spring programs, including some new adult programs. We'll be welcoming back our men's and women's adult basketball on weekends. That's been on hold since COVID started. Volleyball will continue, pickleball will continue. So that's been really great. And the response and the need for it from the community has been very well voiced. So we're excited to rework those schedules and get those groups back. We had a great winter with our youth basketball program. In total, there was about 84 players, certainly down a significant amount from last year, but that was all in relation to the group size limitations that were in place. So they had a great season. They just did clinics, no team scrimmages or anything like that. And we had a great working relationship with CCYB, who helped facilitate some of those clinics. And who has also been using the gym at night for some rentals for their teams to practice, which has been a great resource for them. We'll continue with our new esports program. So there's still plenty of families that aren't comfortable, bringing their kids back into a program or themselves back into a program with others. So this esports league is something that is new and taking off. We are part of the Northeast region of Massachusetts League. And we're seeing more players sign up for the digital competitions for this spring. So Concord has 4 teams in our community right now of players. So that's been great, and certainly something that we might not have tried without COVID, and we're seeing a really great response to it. So one of those strange silver linings that are coming out of this. We are still not able to run after school programs in the schools like we were this fall. And when I say that, I mean the PTG run programs that we started doing last year. So we're doing all of those at the Hunt Recreation Center. So enrollment is significantly down, but we're seeing consistent participation in Lego classes and cooking classes, some coding programs, science classes, things like that. And we'll continue to offer those opportunities to K through 6 typically all spring, which is great. We're planning summer camp COVID style. We We're hoping that we were going to be able to use the Alcott School again, but weren't able to. They're going to be doing some renovations there this summer. So we've shifted gears, and we'll have a group of campers at our building, the Hunt Recreation Center, as they would have in a regular camp season. And then our older campers, 3 through 6, will be at the high school again. So we're working through all of that and in the process of hiring our team. Jobs are posted, and we're seeing a lot of great new applications and strong applicants that currently work for us as well, which is really great for the continuity of employment and for the kids who will recognize them. We are, like Paul had mentioned, if you were on the call in the beginning, we opened registration on the 10th and we sold out of all of our available spots by the next day for pretty much all age groups and all weeks. And that number, the group size was at 9. That's how we had to start camp last summer. So we started with that. And then seeing the wait list grow and grow and grow, we feel pretty confident that the state will at least allow us to start this summer the way they allowed us to end last summer, which was with groups of up to 25, 26, so long as you could accommodate the required social distancing for that group size, which we can do at our buildings. So we're expanding groups right now to 15. Hoping to get as many people as possible off the wait list, and recognizing our social distancing. We'll have to put a cap on it at some point, but we're hopeful that we'll be able to support the majority of the families that have already shown interest in coming to camp. So that's really great. Visitor Center.
I have
Yes.
a question.
Yeah.
Are we still giving out scholarships to certain participants in the summer camp?
Yep. So we offer financial assistance year round in all of our programs. The application's available on our website. Applicants are qualified if they live or go to public schools in Concord. So we typically have more applicants than we have in the past year, since a lot of people aren't participating in programs. But yes, the assistance is available. We use the federal poverty scale and work with the town's social worker. If what we can award isn't enough for that family, they'll go to her for more support.
Thank you.
And Anna, the first bullet said prices increased $10 a program.
Mm-hmm.
Was that, I mean, a market-based decision? I'm just wondering why 10 and not 12 or?
Yeah, so we've followed that model for the last couple of years. And we just feel with the minimum wage increases that are happening right now, and therefore the direct expenses that we incur with our staff, it's a reasonable increase. We did this year, since we won't be doing field trips again, keep our 2 camps at the same price. So typically our younger kids go on 1 field trip per week. So they would pay $10 less than the older group, the 3 through 6. So all programs this summer are $325 across the board. So there's no difference for age groups this summer.
And that is pretty much the best deal in town for, if you look at Concord Academy and some of the other camps that run 5 days a week. And Anna, your hours are roughly school hours, so it's something like 8:45 to 3:15.
Mm-hmm.
So that's helpful and retains a lot of the popularity. You guys also do a great job partnering with the schools, with kids on IEPs, and providing a link from the summer school that they do in the morning, and then they come over and have a supported environment at rec, which is something I believe that was new under you, Anna, when you started.
Mm-hmm.
You created that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
So I was going to say, are those prices set? I understand it's the best deal in town, but are those prices set based on affordability, market? I mean, could we to be base about it, could we generate more revenues? Would that constrain the registration? Do we want to do that? Not want to do that?
Right. Yeah, we really feel that, we're not trying to make this a huge cash cow. We want to provide a well-run, affordable community summer camp program for Concord and Concord's kids. When I first started, I know prices had just been adjusted from the town manager to go down to become more attractive to the community. And that model has stuck these last 4 or 5 years with, again, very small increases each year to help account for minimum wage. Last summer, the COVID expenses were pretty significant. So we're hopeful this summer that $10 will be reasonable for everybody. We're not looking to increase the prices significantly unless, of course, we develop a new program like our 7th and 8th grade program, who does go on field trips each week. That obviously is, they go actually each day, is far more expensive. So those prices get evaluated and approved by the town manager's office before we set them.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. We're also going to be working closely with the METCO program to hopefully get more of our Boston students to come out to camp this year. We didn't have any of those students join us last summer because the busing options weren't available. So we're working hard to make sure that those kids are included this summer if they would like to be. And we'll be running some half-day programs at Willard, where summer school will be this year, to support students that are in summer school until noontime, and then parents need that care until 4 p.m. So working out as many models as we possibly can to support the community across all the different need areas.
You also have some neat options too, the WOW Science program, the Veterinarians program, and those ones have a higher cost to them generally.
Yeah.
And you do great partnership with Emerson Umbrella, which has been a great boon, because I think Concord Rec camps were seen as sort of like a sports and activity camp. And the arts and rec camp has really been able to be more inclusive of other students. It also is a better revenue driver because it's a higher cost, basically. I don't know how you split that though with Emerson.
And when we found out that we couldn't use Alcott, that was also the week that Ryan left. We actually had to put the arts and rec program on hold because we don't know if we can host that additional group of kids in the Hunt building this summer with social distancing in mind. So that program's on hold until, again, we see what the regulations look like, determine if we can support another 25 kids or so. That program was quite popular. But we're in close communication with the Umbrella to see if there's ways that we can make it work potentially at their site next door, which could be an option. So working out all those details, but yeah, a lot of great relationships with community groups, including the schools and the Umbrella for sure. And then quickly, the visitor center has been open this winter, scheduling private tours as requested. Beth's done a great job expanding our tour options this year, and most recently did Concord history and chocolate tour for February, where she had participation from Graham, the chocolate and nut store on the corner by Main Street Market. And that we've received some really good reviews on Yelp and feedback on our website and stuff for those new tours. So that's been fun for her. They're still finalizing the renovations to the visitor center, but we're really optimistic that Beth will be able to have her office space in there and ready to go for the start of this formal tourism season, which usually kicks off around Patriots Day. So Beth's been really flexible using other workspaces while the facilities team moves forward with that work, and they've done a great job doing it. So we're excited to see the fruits of their labor, hopefully in the coming weeks. Recently, I think I shared it maybe in the agenda, but there was a great article that was written by Yankee Magazine. If any of you have heard of that magazine or received that magazine, it's really a great New England staple. And they have a great article in there about what a weekend in Concord and Lexington would look like, and refers to the parks and the bridge and where to stay and where to eat. It's a really great article for Concord. So Beth did a nice job getting that information out to that magazine for us. And then school year programs, lastly, we're still moving forward with the remote learning and after school model. Registration and participation remains very consistent. In terms of preparing for next school year, we are preparing as if it will be a normal school year. We don't have any word from the schools if it will be or won't be, but we're hopeful that we will not be doing remote learning, that the schools and the kids will be back in person full day. So we've opened registration for our after school program, 3:30 to 6 before school, and an early release program that we're assuming will be on Wednesdays this year. And registration is a bit behind from last year. I think parents are kind of waiting to see what the plan will be, which is completely understandable. But spots are filling at all the schools. Thoreau is filling the most quickly right now, it looks like, for the after school program. So more to come on that as the state rolls out some regulations and expectations of schools in the coming months. And we'll keep you guys.
And if we go to a full in-person schools in April, which is a possibility, how does that affect staffing, or how does that affect your plans?
It will affect everything. I learned about that today. Yeah. We would have to displace probably 20 staff that wouldn't have employment anymore for that 12:30 to 3:30 time period. We don't have huge registrations in the after school program right now. The bulk of the participation is in the remote learning. So we are hopeful that that won't happen. I think the model in Concord has been working really well. Lori Hunter has done a fantastic job, and Jared working through all the kinks and making sure everyone has access and giving us space to support them. So I'm really hoping that nothing changes with, 2.5 months left of the school year at that point in time. But we will roll with the punches if that happens, and we're hopeful that the state would give, at least a month heads up of when that expectation is supposed to go into place. And just like before, we'll whip it around in a couple of weeks. But it would be a huge financial impact. So that is all I have.
Shall we move on to the Beatty Center and Andy?
Sounds good. Pete
Andy, I
had
have to
mentioned,
say, Beatty Center saved my life this February vacation, because there was very little to do with two very energetic kids. And I think we had a reservation, which was easy to make, at the Beatty Center and the therapy pool almost every day. And we're going tomorrow after school because the kids are so excited to be back at Beatty. My 5-year-old literally said, "Oh God, I'm so excited we can be back here. Is the coronavirus over now? Is that why we can go back?" I'm like, "No, they're just doing a really good job of keeping it clean." He's like, "Oh, thank goodness." And they can jump
Casey,
in the pool, which they're happy about.
absolutely. So Casey, we can quote 5-year-olds as well. If they can
Perfect.
speak,
Happy-
if they
they're
can
happy
speak
to
English,
post
we'll take it.
Yeah, they're happy to post.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for your support on that front and good words. Pete, you had mentioned earlier, just, financial assistance, just a reminder, or it is out there that, the Beatty Center does do financial assistance related to memberships or programming. We have not been getting a lot recently. I think they've been picking up a little bit, so I might see one every 2 weeks. And with it, certainly try to support that as much as possible and give the people that opportunity to come in the door. We are hearing from people at times that, do talk about the difficulties financially with the pandemic. So we're certainly supporting when we can. I wanted to share with you, as far as my write-up, just, the membership and the marketing piece. That's a 1-year glimpse as far as what we were like last February to where we are this February. Obviously, being closed for 6 months, took a big hit in regards to the numbers and the comfort level. The 65 plus certainly was the most impactful. As you can see, that those numbers took a big hit, and with it, it's again, it's related to the pandemic and COVID, and when a vaccine shot happens. So we're hearing good stuff in the hallways as far as talk and people getting more and more positive, we'll say, with the longer sunlight days, to recognizing that they can go about their business a lot better when it comes to vaccination. And we'll say some of the good press that we've been putting out as far as the Beatty Center, whether it be a positive vacation week or some type of programming that is out there that is happening at the Beatty Center, but not somewhere else. As we sort of look at our membership numbers, we hope that we reached our bottom. Right now we're at 943, and with it, we still have a few people leaving. We have people coming in the door, so We hope to ramp up that number. Obviously, it's a little bit of a tough time since summertime is a little bit slower with us, but we're hoping that our aquatics programming will sort of lead the charge there and give people that option to do the swim lesson, to do some type of swim program. We're having good success with our youth program, the Otter swim team, to our coached high school practice is back after we've had a successful high school season. So we're sort of entertaining that population. So it's sort of a moving target at times as far as what to put out there. But I think we've got some dedicated staff members that recognize the value of our programming, recognize the value of having people come in the door. So we're hopeful that the good things that come with families getting in the doors related to swim lessons, which is, I think, our bread and butter. Just wanted to touch on marketing, and there's a little typo. That last big piece went out in January 2019 there, related to a mass mailing of a big brochure to Concord and Carlisle. But then we toned it back as we got into the closure period. We did do a nice winter program that was 8 pages that highlighted a little bit of everything. From White Pond to the after school programs and whatnot. And just recently, it's about to go out this coming Friday/Monday, we'll say, a postcard piece that's 6.5 by 11, 6 by 9, and with it, good hardstock, good glossy, good graphics. Represents both the back side and front side. There's a scan piece there, so you can go right to the website. And there's also a promotion piece for people to come to the Beatty Center for the first time. Right now, it's only members. We've been doing those family fun nights on Friday, but this card will allow people to, get into their MyRec account, give us a phone call, set up a date to come visit and experience it. But then we know who they are. We can do a little marketing in regards to membership. They have hopefully had a good experience. But to sending that out to, we'll say now 9,000 households, will be a good little marketing push for us. And obviously there's other pieces with Hunt and whatnot involved with that. But we're hopeful that this is a good little glimpse that people can see us for the first time if they haven't been to us, if they're past members and with it, aren't active right now and want to say, yep, let me go test it out. We're going to open the doors to everyone and hopefully get some good traffic that we can manage, obviously still with the MyRec reservation piece. Away from that, we're doing, continue to do our newsletter monthly. We're scheduled to put out the Beatty newsletter on March 1st of next week. We got some program pieces we want to push related to March 4th, that Thursday. But it's a general glimpse of what's happening. We try to keep it light. We try to keep it informative. We try to do a little bit of a sales pitch at times with some different pieces, but that newsletter has been a nice thing to keep people connected who aren't quite in our doors or might not in our doors consistently. But here's a look, here's a photo, here's some familiar faces and writings that hopefully people connect to and resonate with and ask questions at least if they're wondering what we're all about. Questions I can answer on, I guess, the general front or anything that's on people's minds?
I've heard a lot of really great feedback about Family Fun Night. I had a friend of mine then post it on Facebook and she was like, I'm stunned. I never thought I'd go to the Beatty Center. And I'm wondering if there is like a registration table, something when folks come in and come out so they can get out of Family Fun Night and say, oh, great, I'll do a 3-month membership, because those are for families, they're about $500.
Yeah. So we try to, Casey, we try to push that, every one of the events we've given away something. So we surprise them as they exit, and with it, have our brochures out there, with it an opportunity to sign up for a membership and not have an initiation fee. So we're trying to run with that a little bit, and absolutely, it's one of the better nights of the year or the month, because These are new people in our facility and they're having good experiences. We hope to get their kids in swim lessons, we'll say, if they don't jump on the membership bandwagon. But yep, our next one is this Friday. So we've been pretty consistent, one a month.
Is there any chance, is it possible to do like 2 a month at this point? Just because we're in that stretch where there's just not a whole lot to do right now.
Yeah, we could run a different spin on it. I mean, I know we're a little stuck. Our coach high school practice that just started is filling up Monday through Thursday evening. So that's a little bit of a stickler. Well, we do have a Otter swim meet coming up on March 6th. So that's going to take over like the end of that Saturday. So no, we could do a spin on it and say, okay, what else is out there regarding, again, introducing people to our facility, maybe do like a Sunday morning open house, similar to that we've done in the past. That would be a sign up, would be a fee. But again, maybe get at those parents who don't want to come on Friday night, 7 o'clock with their kids. Who wants to come Sunday morning? Maybe like a 10 o'clock might work in our schedule. So a good idea for me to check in on.
Jen, what are your thoughts there in terms of being a parent of younger kids, like a weekend morning where you usually killing some time before 11 a.m.?
That's probably an appropriate time window, especially for little kids. I mean, my daughter would wake up at like 5:30. Thank God she doesn't do it anymore. My son is like a 7:30, 8 o'clock guy, thank the Lord. But when I just had my one and she wake up at 5:30, I mean, we could do so much before 11. So that's definitely a good idea.
But I think any day on a weekend, and again, with full consideration to the other pieces that you have going on there, and making a hard press for folks to sign up, even if it's just a 3-month membership, because that gets you March, April, May, and then sort of a dangle it in front. Now it's time for White's Pond to open up. With full respect, Andy, that I'm sure you guys are just sipping from the fire hose right now. But I know from friends of mine, they've been really receptive to the family fun nights. And I know right now that was the only vehicle for them to come in and test out the facilities before coming in. And I think it's hard for some people to fully recognize that social distancing is possible in there because it's such a big place. The ceilings are so high by nature of what it is. The ventilation's pretty good. And you really are able to spread out in there, which is very helpful. And again, I mean, I just think giving kids a place to go. I mean, we're always looking to burn off energy someplace, and you can only throw them outside so many times until they start complaining.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool, the fact that they are in water, the fact that we have such large spaces to work with, that people can look across these big spaces and see people without masks on and just say, yep, this is still safe. We've got huge distances. We're in chlorinated water to, as we sort of get that comfort level going more and more, a Sunday in the near future, we'll say in March, could also set up our programming related to March 29th. So we've got a big push as far as spring still happening, that people will hopefully get a sense that, yep, I can come here for a good recreation piece, but there's also programming things for my kids.
And not to, I feel bad mentioning this now, but I know the 15-year anniversary of Beatty's coming up in April. Is that right?
Yep, April 18th. Pete knows it well.
I love the social media game has been great in doing those throwback pictures. Pete, I'm sure you're on Snapchat and TikTok, but I don't know if you still go on Facebook anymore.
You must be joking.
I am being facetious. I apologize. There was a great picture that they posted of Tim throwing in the first gallon of water into the main lap pool at the Beatty Center. And they've been doing like a throwback Thursday post to like the construction of Beatty. And it was great to see the comments, Pete. It was Kate Carr chiming in, Tim and Nancy and others, and then people who had been to Family Fun Night posting their pictures and stuff like that. And I know, Andy, you've got a lot on your plate. If there's anything I can do for just small things to help with those promotions, not to add too much to your plate or your team's plate, please reach out, even if you just want to tag me in any of your team's social media, you feel free to do so on that. I know we're not in a position to totally take advantage right now of that opportunity, but don't want to see it fully lost.
No, it's a special date, and we did lose, we'll say, the 14th anniversary last April with us not being open. So yeah, looking to make it special, looking to connect with some of those old and good days, and remind people of where we came from. So yeah, 15 years is coming up. So we'll certainly keep you all updated as far as our plans.
Great. Anna, should we move on to the administrative code and strategic plan updates?
Is it okay if I ask a quick question?
Please.
Just to jump back quick to Anna's update on the recreation programs. I meant to ask this before, but I think Ryan said like half a year ago or so that the carousel program was going to move to Ripley because of the space that's getting leased at the Harvey Wheeler building was up in 2020. I'm just curious if this is still going to move or with COVID.
Yeah. So their move, they requested an extension of the move. So it now isn't going to happen until 2022 or 2023. So it's pushed out. The intention is still to do that though, move the Children's Center out of the Ripley School program. And then our Harvey Wheeler program would move to there so the Council on Aging can expand in the Harvey Wheeler building. So it's still the intention, but the town manager was generous, recognizing what's going on right now and knowing that it's a hard time to try and ask people to move. So we are gonna keep our ear to the wire on that. But for right now, we're not planning to move. So. All right, I'm going to share my screen again to start looking at the administrative code. There it is. Okay. So what you're seeing here, I sent out a document. It might have popped up on your screens when you opened it with all the red line edits. The edits are still available if we want to see them, but it's just a little cleaner to read through. And I think.
And the agenda is up on your screen.
Oh, really? Maybe I need to close that in Word. Sorry, everybody. Let's see. How about now?
Yep.
Great.
It's there.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So this is where we left off at the last meeting. I wasn't able to find the written notes that Ryan took with everybody's feedback from the last meeting. I think we kind of ended in a point of nothing being finalized. So it's an opportunity to review what's here, make recommendations for adjustments again. I think Paul Grasso, you had mentioned that you do this sort of stuff for work, and the document itself and the foundation of it looked really good. So I don't think, everyone, we need to change a whole bunch, but we just want to make sure it's relevant to the town and the recreation department today, including some adjustments such as setting the fees instead. The commission helps recommend fees, things like that. So
should the references always be to the recreation director? It's just like something that kind of popped out at me. Do we advise just the director, or the department itself would be one comment I had at a high level?
Yeah, I pulled up the old original code and it continually referred to the director. I don't know if that is.
I think that's like an old style,
Okay.
I think that's something to consider. I wasn't at the last meeting, so I'm sorry. I'm looking at it real quick right now. I had looked at it before. It actually is like in the format. It is relevant.
Mhm. So
I can
potentially.
send you comments later too, but that's just something that you might want to consider because it's not an advisory just to that position.
Okay. So potentially adjusting all areas that say recreation director to
The department
recreation
or
department.
some other formulation that people would find most relevant.
Okay.
So Anna,
But there are some specific references to the director that are probably relevant. still.
Right, right. Like number 7, for example.
Yep. Yep. I can read.
I
through all-
wouldn't say, yeah, would you agree with that? I wouldn't say necessarily a wholesale replacement, but just, kind of go through them one by one.
Okay.
So I think given our previous discussion on recreation director, number 3 could probably use some.
Meat.
Yeah, and I was just jotting down here, what we really talked about, I think, is assisting the town manager by participating and making recommendations on the appointments to the position. So it's really assisting and participating rather than, we're really not making recommendations off the bat. So that would be my suggestion, something along those lines. Let me read that again. Assisting the town manager by participating in and making recommendations on appointments to the position, which I think is consistent with what we talked about earlier.
All right.
I like that, Paul. Paul Grasso, what do you think? You're the sitting expert.
Well, is it just to that position? Because I'm trying to read them all again real quick. We do get involved in recommendations to key positions or something along those
so
lines. It's not just for that position.
director and key positions.
Something like that, yeah.
For director.
Do you want me to send you those words or?
I'm scribbling them down on paper
Okay, that's
right
fine,
here.
Yeah, anything to that effect, that we're assisting and participating.
Yep, that makes sense. Okay. Any other big pieces stand out?
You get a typo in number 6, real small.
This one was new. Ryan added this on. And as I was reading through it, I think I won't be able to speak to his exact intention of the sentence, but it seems similar to 11 in some cases. But if people see value in having both thoughts there.
I think they're different. I'm not sure what the intent of 12 is. I mean, literally, it's, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward what it says.
Seems a little repetitive.
Yeah, I think the original intent of number 11, there was a note about when people come to us with a request for support and things of that nature. So I think 11 was based more on that, giving us the ability to provide input, but not saying that we will provide support or we will write letters or anything like that. But so I think that's what 11 was.
Then that's real vague then. I mean, I'm not sure I would get that from reading that sentence.
Okay.
But I don't know how you can, I know you want to keep that a little open-ended. I don't know exactly how you would craft that to get at what you're trying to say.
So I can try and rework that one with that intention in mind. If
So I
others,
think that what you said, like how you said it, I completely agree with that. I just don't know if 11 is actually saying that.
okay.
You know, it doesn't hurt to say, for example, letters of support as appropriate or something, just.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can give a specific example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, do you want to expand 11 to include not just facility improvements, but, it looks like those topics of development and maintenance that are in 12, you could fold in to 11 somehow.
Yeah, I think that would make sense, and maybe that's why he had them separated out originally, thinking they were very different things. But I think the participation that the commission would have on facility improvements, development, and/or maintenance would be, the same points, the same action.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
That coordination activity and as well as just advice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Is number 8 still true? Submit an annual report for incorporation in the town report? Is that something that we do?
So there is one that's submitted. I don't know if in the past I did it. I had to do it for this year because that was also the week that Ryan left. So Kate asked me to take care of those. I don't know if in the past Ryan potentially had written it and sent it to Peter, or I don't remember it coming back to a commission meeting.
Yeah, I would say submit is not accurate. I mean, review and provide input on, or something that, tones that down a little.
But it is true that other town committees do this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe it
I'm
would
not
be
sure.
appropriate to start doing it more, for maybe the draft is written by town staff, but that's reviewed by the commission and then submitted by the vote of the commission.
Right.
That's what's pretty common anyway among these other committees. Now, maybe it's just adding more overhead, but.
Well, my question is that a report from the department or the report from the commission? Are they different? Are they the same?
They're different. So we submit one for the Recreation Department. The information on the Recreation Commissions included, I'm trying to recall right now, the objectives of the commission. It spoke to the Maureen Taggart Award that's presented each year to a Concord student for community service efforts. I believe it refers to those that left the board after years of service, things like that. I can find it and send it back to you all. I worked off of the document that was submitted in the annual report last year and updated information from there, but I can get it and send it out to people, but it is different than mine and Andy's for Beatty.
So it was a commission report.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I guess in that spirit, if, we would like to move forward with having more eyes and information from the commission directly versus just the office staff, perhaps leaving submit is still an appropriate word. And I guess that leaves interpretation for the level of participation or action from our department and the rec commission.
Okay.
I'm good with leaving submit if other people are.
So I'm still a little fuzzy. So does the commission prepare the report, or does the department prepare the report on behalf of the commission?
This year is all I can really speak directly to, and I prepared the report on behalf of the commission.
And frankly speaking, it's going to be something that the department would prepare and then maybe come for discussion, the commission would approve. Does that sound about right, Anna?
Yeah. Yes. So I guess again, going back to the word submit, I don't think in the past the chair has physically submitted the report. I think we've worked with the chair and the commission, and then Ryan must have sent the report in, via email as it's requested. So.
Well, I'm wondering how the other, so for example, the planning, the planning board and the planning department, does the committee submit a separate report?
I think of it as inclusive in that, we would say, hey, here's all the bylaws that we submitted and we reviewed this many special permit applications. And, meanwhile, the planning department approved, these different, process this many building permits, so I don't know.
I think maybe we leave it at that at this point.
Leave it as is.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get hung up on a word forever doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Striking me is not quite right, but I don't have anything better for it, really.
Okay. Okay. And here is where it says the commission elects the chairman and appoints a member to the CPC committee. So I'm thinking of Paul. That still is there. And I think it, it's similar to this, but allows the opportunity if there's other advisory committees. I know Peter Hunter was on the long range planning committee, things like that as well. So I think that's where that's coming from.
Also, I've replaced chairman with chair. That's like more of the term of the last decade or so.
You're very woke, Paul. Thank you.
I try to be.
Great catch. Okay. All right. Well, if everyone thinks that that looks good, what I'll do is take the notes that I just scribbled out, make some more adjustments, and get it sent back out for the next meeting. And perhaps the next meeting we can approve the changes to be submitted to the town manager's office. I'll, in the meantime, figure out what the process is for updating a document like this once we pass it to them. Matt, I don't know if select board gets involved with, small documents like this, or I can figure it out.
Well, I mean, normally if there's like a committee charge that is revised, we would be getting involved.
Yeah.
So this administrative code, I assume we would have to approve changes to it.
I would agree with that. This is something that I would say would have to go somewhere. I'm not familiar with how this would work specifically, but would go to a higher level to be reviewed.
Yeah, definitely would send it to Kate Hodges and the town manager team. And in the meantime, I'll find out from her and her team the steps that it'll take just to inform you all. And we'll just get it sent up there.
Because this is a select board appointed body, right? So.
Appointed by the town manager.
Oh, it's appointed by the town manager.
Town manager, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then we wouldn't.
Okay, that's what
Perhaps
I
not.
wasn't sure
Sorry.
about.
Yeah.
Granted, they haven't looked at this one in quite a few years, so we'll
I don't
see.
think it's at the top of their mind, but
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a deal breaker for them with the small changes that we're making to be
No,
current
right,
day.
okay.
But
Yeah, but
so
it is the case that we may not get involved in the change of the administrative code here on the select board.
okay. Okay, well,
it's also your opportunity. And I'll say one more thing in the very first line. If you wanted to change that number of 5 to a different number, it's a good time to do it. Like if you wanted to consider that, it's just something to think about at moments like this. Because that's not carved in stone, that has to be 5. It can be 3, whatever you wanted. I'm just saying it's something to rate or think about.
pros and cons that people see with the quantity?
5 feels pretty good to me, just from what I've witnessed in a short amount of time, and then other committees. So, you see committees that are huge,
Right.
and others that are small, and then you get, some that struggle to keep membership or attendance. So I think this seems like a good balance, motivated, informed, and also connected to other committees.
Paul's remembering all those times we had quorum issues.
Yeah, that's true. The CPC also seems really big to me, but
How many
the
do they
issues
have?
the issues they consider are different than.
I'm thinking of the middle school building committee. That's a big committee.
FinCom.
I've avoided that one like the plague. My kid will be out of middle school by the time anything happens there, so I'm ducking out of that one.
5 does seem like a comfortable number because a quorum of 3, I think, is sort of the very least you should have with matters like this. So,
Yeah, I would agree.
but it's a good catch, Paul.
It's a good reminder. Okay, so I will make these updates. I'll send it out again in draft form, and hopefully at March's meeting, we can agree on it, and I'll send it up for the next steps. So thanks for everyone's participation in that. I'm gonna stop my screen.
And next up is the strategic plan. And I want to be thoughtful as we open the meeting talking about just how much you and the rest of the department now have on your plates with the ramp up to summer, Ryan's departure, that perhaps reviewing the strategic plan at this particular moment isn't a great idea, and that we want to shelve it until you guys can get your feet under you. And in fairness to whomever is the next rec director, give them an opportunity to be a part of that conversation.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's invaluable for a director to have the ability to participate in strategic planning initiatives, especially if he or she is going to be responsible for helping fulfill them. So I think if everybody's okay with it, I agree with what you said, Casey. We could table it for right now. We're approaching summer where our meetings become slim anyways. So it'll give me a good time to work with potentially whoever we bring in, to get caught up to speed on everything and then work together maybe in the fall at some point in time.
I'd like to concur with that. I've been involved in strategic plans for many different groups over the years. And I'm inclined to say that it's important enough and complex enough so that it probably deserves a separate meeting on its own, where the group gets together and says, look, we're going to spend a Saturday morning or Friday afternoon or something, and we're willing to devote several hours, if necessary, to a thoughtful discussion of what it is, because it's the sort of thing one doesn't do very often, a strategic plan, and it can weigh heavily on the future of an organization. So I think it's important enough to deserve its own separate meeting.
Yeah, I agree with Pete completely. I've been involved in consulting my whole life, and we breathe strategic plans, but I think the time is not right. Although there's a need. You have a 2014 plans, and I think the new recreation director plus the timing both suggest we table it. I do want to mention, because I brought it up at the previous meeting, that whenever we do dust it off, we ought to think about getting community input. And to that end, I did some research into surveys, and surveys are easily done at the town level. Erin Stevens and I discussed it. There's several ways of doing it. As long as we provide the questions, then it's pretty easy to go out. So we don't need an outside consultant. It's not expensive to do it. And whenever we do it, we're going to need that. We're going to need some lead time to get public input to that. So I'll just leave it at that.
Paul, thank you for looking into that, because I think that's really valuable for us going forward, and opening up more avenues for public discussion and input, I think are critical. So thank you for looking into that.
Great.
So now, is there any more discussion? Anything else anyone wants to bring up on that matter before we move on to the next item? Okay, should we move on to reports from liaisons?
Great.
Paul Grosso, do you want to talk CDC?
Not much to report. Our last meeting got
CDC.
canceled, but we're done with the recommendations and the analysis. And our last meeting that got hung up on some technological issue was just to review and approve the warrant article. So that the role is done. So went pretty smoothly. So I don't have much to report on it.
Great. And I apologize, Matt, I skipped select board. I jumped right to CDC rather than CPC there. Any reports from the select board?
Well, I was going to share an image, but I can't apparently. But the only thing I was going to note are that the Concord Carlisle Youth Baseball has gifted to the town a 23-foot wide foam backstop banner that says Concord Carlisle on it in big bold letters. And so that'll be installed at right outfield. So I wanted to note that. I think that's about it for direct relationships with recreation and recent select board activity.
And I think just if we can reflect in the minutes, the gratitude to Concord Carlisle Youth Baseball for their gift to the town from
Yeah.
the commission.
Yep,
I don't know if
absolutely.
that needs it. I don't want to saddle you with having to write a thank you letter. So I think if we can reflect it in the minutes for now,
Yep.
rather than
I've,
adding it to do item.
So I've taken over field scheduling and coordination as well, and have been in touch with Phil Gibson, who
Great.
headed the initiative. This is the second backstop that CCYB has installed in Concord parks at the baseball field. So super generous of them, super thoughtful and independent and helpful. So I will certainly voice our thanks again to Phil when I talk with him.
Thank you. Dick, did you have any info from the finance committee?
But before he left, Ryan had asked me about how the town allocates its overhead costs to the rec commission. And I asked Carrie about that, and she said this is something that she has to, that she's been working on. It sounds like there are multiple complex and formulas that have been used in the past to calculate the transfer charges. She's aware of that, and I think it's on her list of to-do things, but as far as specifics, she really didn't give me anything.
Okay.
So I would say I had mixed success with that.
Thank you. Any suggestion, Dick, about, so we were not charged for the general fund this year, the town manager waived that. Is that gonna stick moving forward, or is this a one-time?
That I don't know yet.
Okay.
You know, we're still formulating the budgets for
Mhm.
next year. So this is obviously a very unusual year, and the town meeting is until June. So all the town, the school, enterprise fund budgets, everything's been pushed back.
Mhm.
So that information will become available a little later than normal.
Okay.
So just for clarification, Anna, you mentioned they've waived it for, what have they waived it for, this upcoming
Is it
year?
fiscal 21?
Yeah.
I think, because now we're going to be working on fiscal 22.
Right.
So, and you've got to educate me here, because sometimes the calendars are like a fever dream to me because I'm on school calendar and other calendars. So fiscal 2021 ends on June
of
30th.
this year.
And so you guys are in the process of finalizing fiscal 2022, which will begin on July 1.
Yes.
Correct.
I'm deeply appreciative of you reaching out to Carrie LaFleur on this, and I think it would be helpful as Anna's looking at things for the year to come, but maybe a memo that's approved by the commission or a letter to the finance committee that I think Ryan and I discussed with you at, I don't know if it was the last meeting or another time, to give more detail to it so that the full finance committee is clear on it, because I know Carrie says she's looking into it. It has been something that's been brought up for years, and no reasonable answer has been given. So I think at this point, it's just elevating it to the finance committee to get more awareness out of it, and full understanding that transfer fees will be applied, but just a rhyme, a reason, and a expectation to be able to build the budget around is what we're seeking. But to be able to put that down in writing more clearly, I think would be helpful, Dick, for you and for the finance committee. I know you guys have bigger fish to fry, but that's one that we've been trying to get some.
We try to fry all our fish equally.
Appreciate that.
So Casey, are we asking for sort of an explanation? Are we asking for a calculation? Are we asking for a waiver? What are we asking for?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So it took me a while to figure this out, and it essentially, the way the transfers work is, and I don't know when in the budget process, but it can be anywhere from like 150,000 that rec is charged, or 30,000 or 60,000 that they're charged annually in sort of money that rec brings in that they have to pay back to the general fund. What we're seeking is just what's the formula for it? What can we expect, or what can Anna expect in the budget process? Because if it's 30,000 one year, 150,000 the following year, you're getting into having to cut a full-time employee at that point. And there hasn't been any, this is how we do our equations. This is what the formula is. It's just been, this is what we want this year, and this is what we need yet next year. And I think, there's plenty of complexity that goes into the budgets for the town, with full respect to all of that, just being able to give us some clarity as to, you can expect it to be within a certain range, or, because of X, Y, and Z, it will be this, so that the budgeting can be done with more clarity and confidence.
Right. When we did get a waiver, is that something that Ryan asked for, or is it something that was granted to us from FinCom? How did that?
No, FinCom had nothing to do with that. That would be the town manager
The town manager. Okay.
decision. Yeah.
Probably because it was such a weird year.
Yeah.
And Beatty had to be closed for 6 months. Most of the programming, rec took a hit financially. So did other, areas in the town. They had to, my guess is just be very flexible with a lot of town departments.
So there was some discussion between Ryan and town manager on that resulted in that. Okay.
Yes. There might have been a memo.
That was not a FinCom decision.
Yeah, town manager. Yeah. Okay.
We
I
were
did
very
have
grateful.
one other select board liaison item, which was in our last meeting, we did review the public-private partnerships agreements, that have been, and there are a very large number of them, of course, that are recreation oriented. And so those are currently kind of getting scrubbed, they're going through updating, seeing which ones are still valid, which ones have kind of fulfilled their mission. And some might need a formal memorandum of agreement, some may need, a public meeting, those kinds of things. And also, since we're talking about the administrative code, there's a question of like, well, is there any oversight of those organizations that the Recreation Commission might have? At present, the process doesn't really identify these boards and committees as having an oversight of the public-private partnerships. It's really strictly the town staff, but it is, and perhaps a standalone public-private partnership committee, which currently is not, together. But I wonder if here is a place where you have the expertise and the context to be able to have some oversight. I don't know. And so that was just a thought I had. I don't know where that's going, but just wanted you to know that process is being looked at right now.
Is there a list of those that affect the recreation department?
There is a big list. Yeah. I think, Anna, do you have a copy of that, Andy?
I don't.
I mean, we got in our packet a list, and I know that Chris Carmody was, working with that in adding updates. I don't know if the one that I have right now, when it says current, but I think it's current as of 2017. So clearly some have changed. Oh, and yeah, there's, so I'm not confident enough to just distribute the list that I have as current, but Chris Carmody would have it.
Okay, I'll reach out to him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for
and I'd say there's probably at least a dozen that are, record. There are over 50 total partnerships, and at least a dozen are recreation oriented.
Great. Definitely should have that list. Appreciate it.
Be good to know.
Thanks. Okay.
Any other public input? We don't have any folks in here, and I'm on screen, but I'm looking at the agenda. So if I don't see someone,
I'm checking the list right now. Let's see.
okay.
Nope. Same
Old
group.
business. So we're on to the next meeting. Scheduling.
So looking at end of March. The last Tuesday in March is March 30th. Does that work for most people?
Works for me.
Yep, that's good.
Yep, it's fine with me.
Pete, does that work for you?
Yes.
Great. Okay. So March 30th, 7 p.m. Zoom.
Great. Thank you, Anna. Okay, it sounds like this is the end of our meeting. I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you, Anna.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your
Hang in
continued
there.
support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick comment before we leave. As filling my role as representing young families, we're expecting our third in June. So
Oh,
Congrats.
congratulations,
Hey,
Jen.
congratulations.
thank you.
How you feeling?
Good. You just, with every pregnancy, you just get bigger and bigger quicker. With my daughter, I ran the entire pregnancy. With my son, I got to 31 weeks, but I definitely won't make it that far this time. But since all the
Jen.
meetings are held via Zoom, I might be able to attend the June meeting. So
Okay.
we'll see.
It's very
COVID
ambitious.
pregnancy, that's
What?
a lot. A COVID pregnancy, that's a lot.
I know we definitely weren't planning on this initially. When COVID happened, I was like, thank God my youngest is not an infant anymore, but things happen. So
Now you're going to be outnumbered. There's more of them than there are of you.
yeah, my
You're on
husband,
zone defense now.
Exactly.
we're already committed. So.
Well, congratulations, Jen. Thanks for
Congratulations.
sharing.
Great.
Take care. Bye,
Okay.
everyone. Have a good
Bye,
night.
everyone.
Bye.